Okay. So welcome. We just went live on YouTube, and Renee's getting something real quick, but we had to kind of correlate some technical things. So Renee uses some audio devices that help her hear, but she had to have it in the room. So sometimes when you have your speakers reflecting right into the room and you're recording with somebody, it echoes back into the feed, and it is like discombobulating. So we had to figure out a solution because she needed it to be able to hear all the lovely things. So she's going to be on mute while I'm talking, and then when she's doing the exercises she's going to unmute. Okay, so that's how we're doing this one. It was a workaround that it took me a little while to figure out. And I'm so glad Renee is here with me today. Welcome, Renee. So good to have you here. And yeah, so this is the first time working with Renee, as most of the people that are coming on for this series. And so we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to start from step one. So, and our first exercise, we are just breathing out all the air. And that's not a push feeling, that's a release feeling. And then the muscles react to the intention, right? You just allow them to do that. And then the S's, they're going to feel even more muscles interact, right? And then when we release, breathing in, we're going to release the belly to breathe in. So really going from release to release. It's really part of the work. And then we're going to do it again. So we do it at least 3 times every time we get started, breathing all the way out. And S's. And breathing in from the earth. So one of the things I do is this is really the time that I get connected. So if you've done any grounding work, if you've done any earth work, it's great reflection for this breath out movement. Okay. So breathing all the way out. Time to S's. And then breathing back in from the earth. Very nice. Good. And around now is when we start to feel a little bit of movement, some warmth at the vocal cords. Are you feeling that, Renee? Yeah. And so this is our indicator. That's our indicator that we're ready to speak. It's actually one of our action indicators as well. If we're ready to do, this is one of the indicators. And then we just have to decide what is aligned with my present moment to do, right? So breathing all the way out. Just going to feel that energy coming up from the earth and the breath in. And see the echo at the vocal cord. Feel the echo, right? And it's just a recognition. So now it's that feeling. That's the feeling that makes me think, oh, it makes a sound. I feel like saying something. That happens when we're moving the energies. All right. So as we are feeling that feeling, we're just going to recognize that's where our sound starts. That is what our bodies do to make sound. They start down here. We often think our mouths are making sound. It's way down here. Anything past here is too late. So when we breathe, when we're breathing back in, we're thinking of our next sound coming from here. It's going to be the sound with the M on it. So it sounds like together, like ma, right? And so when we have our lips close to M, we're still saying vowels because that's how we make sound, is a vowel with breath, okay? Ma. So we're just letting that breath outward turn into a sigh. You want to try that for me on off of mute, Renee?
Yeah. That wasn't exactly what you said, but
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it's like I don't think that came from my um, lower chakras. I think it's still coming from up here somewhere.
so
The
mute for a little bit. Good. Yeah. Uh, so what I was gonna say was that yeah, we do want to come from the lower chakras. Renee is very very well informed, and I hope you work with her because she has a confluence of wisdom that is really um and so yeah, so when we are breathing in, we are into that kind of dantian energy area. And so what you want to do is to forget that it's traveling, right? The system is faster than we can think, you know. And so instead of thinking, oh well, I'm breathing out and it's going from my belly to like some we don't even know where, right, but somewhere around my belly to somewhere around my mouth, we're going to shorten that to it's going directly from this sensation here to the lower belly, to the dantian. Okay, so we're gonna just pretend the rest isn't involved. And we're gonna put the ah right on top of that area, the dantian. Okay, so when you're ready.
Okay. Just to be clear, I'm making a sound here, but I'm sending it to my belly to finish the sound. Is yeah not if that's what we're doing? So like, okay. Hmm.
Yes. So right now we're thinking of the breath outward and down, which is what I love about what's happening. And now we're going to remember the movement of breath out, right? So moving through the perineum, through the floor is the energetic movement. Okay, the breath out, and this is the thing. This is what happens when we know too much, right? So we have both sides are always happening. This is what's the fun part about knowing too much, right? Both sides are always happening. So it's a matter of where we're putting our awareness. So we're putting our awareness for creation and intention is through the perineum, through the floor. We're putting our awareness for breath outward is from the perineum up into the lower belly. Okay. So in that direct to the belly idea that we're talking about before, that is automatic connection to the throat and the expression, right? So that's an ah vowel with the M closure. And we're going to try that one more time. So that is actually the opposite. You said right? Follow that in the body. Feel the vibration. Okay. Let's unmute and try it again. Yes, that's it. So good. So yeah, so when we do that, we want to relax where we feel the sensation. Anything else is extra tension, extra movement, we just don't need. right? We think that they do a lot, but the tongue actually has very little to do with the sound that comes out of our mouth. It's just the bell of the horn. So we don't need it to do stuff as much as we think we do, right? I love to do this example. I'm just gonna I'm gonna put my hands here so you can see how little I'm moving. The tongue will move a little bit, but the rest isn't gonna really have to move, right? Ah, eh, e, o, ooh. Okay. So with very little movement from, especially, we don't need the jaw, we don't need none of that. None of all that can just chill. You don't really need the base of the tongue, but the tip, you kind of need a little bit, and it'll want to kind of like spread out and kind of do a big hump and do little humps. But they don't need to be exaggerated. They will be a reflection, just like our breath out is the muscle movement is a reflection of our desire to breathe out. So we don't want to remake that movement because the body's going to move automatically. As soon as you think ah, our vocal cords are already shaped for ah. Try that with me without saying anything. We're just going to go ah, e, o, u, and we're just going to see without saying it literally. We're just going to like say it in our heads. And just feel the different muscular movements for each of those vowels, right? And that's where it is, right? Like we really think the tongue is doing all the things, right? But it's actually so much of that happens right here at the vocal cord. So let's do this time. Let's try doing all the vowels on ma as a side. Ma, me, me, mo, mu, and wherever it lands is fine. It doesn't have to be perfect at all.
Ma, me, me, mo, mu. You're muted.
I forgot I did that. So did you feel the difference with the different vowels? Or did you, yeah? So good. So that's what we want to be in connection with is that vibration from here. Everything else, like kind of even once they make the sound, it's just, oh, that's the sound that happened when I did that. Because you can't really get in front of that. Once the sound was out, it's out, right? Worry about the next sound, which is one of the reasons why I talk about having lots and lots of vowels, right? So we're gonna say ma in our head. The intention. Intention is ma. In my head, that's how it's done. Okay. So unmute, and you're just gonna do the same exact thing with lots and lots of vowels.
Ma, me, me, mo, mu.
So now we're going to sigh. So and let's do all of them. Just see where it goes. As high as you can go to as low as you can go, starting from the belly. Okay.
La, la.
Yeah, so with the high to low, and then M is the M, right? Is the consonant, and then we are sliding high to low, right? Ma, ma, yeah. Ma, me, me. So all the vowels. No, moo. Wherever it lands is fine.
Ma, me, me, mo, moo.
Yee, beautiful. Even more with the belly. Yeah, starting from the belly. Feel that belly vibrate on that M closure. Mm. Mm. Oh, you might not feel it literally, but you know what I mean, right?
Ma, me, me, mo, moo.
Awesome sauce. And now we're going to include the auric field. Okay, the whole of the auric field. We're not talking about front-facing manifestation here, Renee. We're talking about being in the completeness of our presence. I'm talking to a knowledgeable lady here. Yes? And so front, back, up, down, full field, vibrating with consciousness and awareness of the whole field. Into the earth released. You know what I mean? Try it.
Ma, me, me, mo, moo.
Yes. And so much I can feel it moving outward in that way. And now we just need less mouth. We need less mouth movement. Less mouth, yes. We don't need all this to move so much, yeah. Look how stagnant my face is. I call it my Calgon take me away face. This antithesis of every singer we've ever seen on TV. Yeah, just let it release with the breath. Not any movement, tension, release with the breath.
Ma, me, me, mo, moo.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's how we really start to recognize, oh, it's coming from my body, right? Because we do everything we think to do up here, uh, yeah, some kind of highly manifested speaking. I don't know what we're trying to think of. We're a lot of making happen. Um, and my premise is that it's in the release. It's not even in the intention. As much as it's lovely to have one. That way we get to be proud of ourselves when it's met, right? The ego loves that. So so it's not really even about the intention. It's just about the movement of the experience in the body. And so yeah, so we recognize that when the body starts vibrating and it's really getting warm and it's really getting happy, that's actually when our best sound is happening. We don't need more than that, right? And that was your full sound there. I got to hear your warmth and your brightness and the range. Even I can hear the kind of resonances of the range that are available. And there's a lot in there to play with, right? But we want it to be that conscious, that we're open to that availability, and that opening happens through the body, right? So nothing we're doing in the head, right, but in the body. And so and so good. Let's do some movement. So we're gonna do some ha-has. We'll just see what happens. If we don't hit it, then we're just looking to see what the body wants to do next. Okay. So we're just gonna go ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, you double clicked. But yeah, it almost got us, but we were smart. So so when we have the ha-ha, so the thing to remember about the ha-ha exercise is that H is an aspiration. In other words, it's just breath, it's just air. So we don't actually have to say H. We only say voiced sounds. So voiced is vowels. Okay? So we actually have to say ah 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 with the happy breath movement of aspiration of H. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Letting it lead again from the belly. Vowels, 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 vowels.
Ha 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 ha.
Awesome. So now that we've had a couple at bats, we're not fixing anything, folks. We're doing the exact same thing that you just did, and we're just going to do more of it. Okay, and we're just going to see where the body lands, right? Let it miss a few times. Don't try to fix it, okay? And we're just going to see what happens.
Ha 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 ha.
Beautiful. That's awesome. She's like, that's a perfect example. Your cat is like, this is my show. Um, so it's a perfect example that, but once we get a couple rounds at it, the body will adjust to match the intention. Right now, what we've been doing most likely, most often up until now, is that we've been telling the body what we want it to do when it has nothing to do with how we make vocal sound, right? So what we're allowing is enough repetition for the body to tell us how it makes sound. So once we recognize that it's aligned to the sounds we were intending, then we realize, oh, that's how it wants to do that. Now that's your direction. Anytime you're making that sound, you want to be open and available for that. Right? So how your body's moving in that sound. All right, so let's do the next one. Good job. She followed rhythmic direction, folks. We got a genius here. All right, so it's not easy to do. That's not a genius thing. I'm totally being sarcastic. This is something that is what happens when we allow ourselves to just see what happens, right? What most of us would do is slow down to figure out how it's happening so we can do it better, right? Renee just went for it. So she's had some practice here and just letting the unknown happen and whatever the result may be, right? So that is actually a skill we can build. So she's being a beautiful reflection here of our possibility. So when we are doing the fast version, right, the tendency is to be like, I don't know what's happening, so I can't do it, right? But instead, I want you to follow the breath outward. It's all in one breath, yeah? So the whole thing is still being released all the way into the earth, the same way we breathe out. And so that when we don't back up to go higher, back up to go back, right? Go back to the note we started on. So it's all through. Release to the earth. I'm sorry, that's a little flat. And when you watch the recording, what you'll realize is that you're literally going up. Like you're like, and then your voice gets a little stuck, and then you relax again, and then it goes back down, right? So, not thinking of high notes as high. This is having to reframe our entire existence. We think high notes mean that we have to go high, but the body knows better, and it knows it actually has to release and flex downward in order to get to the high notes, and not it's like 5 different ways it actually has to go down. So it actually will serve us better to do it like the same way we breathe out. We're thinking down, and the more we need, the more we need to go down. Okay, so so it's actually a bigger movement down when I to go up. It's not really matching my hand movements on my side, but I actually go a further distance in energetic feeling on the high note down. Okay, so let's see if we can get our brains to work on the right job. Instead of thinking that that's the high note, it's going to think that's needs the more space down. Okay. I love you so much. She didn't ask. If it was was that the note? She had actually a really good recall for it. But we're gonna play again to refresh so you're more certain, and that's all it is. It's more clear on what it actually is. Fabulous. Yeah. So that one was just the thinking you gotta say H. That was that one. And then but everything else happened really lovely. So we're gonna keep going. Yes, yes. We're good. We're still throwing H at it. So we're just gonna recall what it feels like to feel the vocal cords a little bit. And it's not literally the vocal cords, but it's the closest we're gonna get. So we're gonna say, you don't have to unmute for this, just say ka. And feel that in the belly when you say ka. Yeah. Feel it in the belly. There you go. That's what we need. We need that when you say ah, 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 ah. That's the way the belly's going to move, okay? You were doing so well with the fastness. So you got to start fast. You can't just get there, right? So because if we try to slow down, we're going to overthink it. Okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last instruction.
Okay, so we had a little lag there, folks. We're going to try that again. So we're going to do the exact same thing, just remembering that we have the faster from the beginning so that we don't overthink it, okay? I didn't hear when you did it before. We're same problem here. Yes. So what are you thinking? Let's get a little insight here. What are you thinking as you're moving through the notes? Is there any kind of self-doubt coming
Out
up?
coming up is what,
Yeah, I am thinking. I'm I'm like had a big aha that pushing is not necessary when you sing. Even though I was raised by a mother who pushed a lot when she was a character actress and she made a lot of money pushing a lot. But that's not even my style. So I'm like, okay, so then where in my channel am I trying to get to? Where am I trying to hit? Where in my body within me? I'm not even talking about outer body. I'm talking about the channel between, you know, the floor and here. So it's just like, oh, okay, I'm getting real specific here, and I'm just enjoying just landing it in the inner channel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like that's what I find for most people is that they especially imagine this, especially women, is that they have this thing of like, oh, it's not happening. And let me try harder, right? Let me do it better. Let me like there are a lot of I'll make it better, right? So when especially we've had a lot of reflections of that probably in our society and our families, and so that is the complete opposite for the voice. We actually have to do less. We have to do a lot less because there are big movements required, but not all the time, right? And so we have to be open enough for the big movements and present enough for the small ones. And so that's what Renee is starting to pick up on is that there's actually some pretty tiny movements happening, and the initiation movements are mostly responsible for within in our attention. We're mostly attention, so that they are allowed to move. Um, Awareness, right? So it is actually around the belly button. It's like above the belly button, below the belly button, and always the one below is going to provide for a more reliable initiation. Okay, also in our memory, and also in our memory of where the notes are. Okay, so we really just want to really pay attention to that area until we get to know our breath to voice creation pretty well. Okay, so let's look there, front and back. So it is still 360, but right now we're just like the focal point is in that sacral area. Yeah. So the full area is pretty, you can feel the warmth there, I'm sure. And so that's where we're paying attention to. Okay, so we're gonna do the next one. Ha 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 ha. That was pretty cool. Yeah, because you start out with a bit of H, and then you recognize, oh, that's probably more than I need, right? Because it's extra aspirate. It's more air. Like if more air only is usable when we have more vowels. So we think throwing air at it is going to be a solution. But this is where one of like the many places balance comes to play at the throat chakra, right? Like if you want to use more air, which is what we think of as more, then you're gonna need more vowels. You're gonna need more clarity on us on initiation. Where are the vowels? Where does the friction happen? Right? Where is that yin to yang term? Yeah, that's what we're looking for, and it's at the vocal cord, right? Ah, ah, ah. That's where we're gonna get traction. That's what you're losing right now is traction. If you give it more vowels, ah, 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 yeah, then you will get more traction. Okay, and then you'll have a place where it lands. It'll feel like, oh, it's going somewhere, right? Yeah, let's try that. Sorry, let me play it for you. Yeah, so you see how it's starting to come together now? So now we're going to do a sigh. We're going to do this sigh, we're going to put a note on. So, no. And then when we get to the final vowel, we're not doing anything. We're just allowing it to go back to breath, releasing through the perineum and through the floor. Okay? No. Breath still moving. Okay? Yes, really lean into that. It's gonna let you lean back into the 3-6. Yeah, so
Yeah,
much more
so much.
relaxing, right? Yeah, so that was my fault. Had to unmute. So, same. So one of the things that's really great about sighing is that it's going to help you build your muscle with relationships like that you're building with your understanding of how your body moves to the note, right? And so what we want to do more of is that M vibration. So like the hum, having that ah very clearly down here, not in the mouth, not in the tongue. See how much more the body moves to do that. Beautiful. So you actually have a pretty high voice, Renee. And so a lot of that strength is in the upper sounds. Do you recognize that? Have you recognized that when you've sung before?
Yeah, I mean, I've been told that my speaking voice, I've been copying my mother who was a contralto, but my actual singing voice, my actual real voice is much, much, much higher. I can't even get as high as I think it has the potential to be.
Yes. And so what we want to do is start relating that into your speaking register, right? And so sighing is actually going to be very powerful for you. Doing that, those sighs, bringing that power actually down in relationship to your speaking range, right? What we're going to do is actually go the other direction for a little bit and have a little bit of that experience. And like really feeling into when you most feel like the vibration in the voice. Okay, when I say vibration in the voice, I mean reflected in the body. So when you most feel maybe resonance, like I get tingles in my feet and my lower belly, the warmth starts to happen in my lower back eventually, right? So that's we're kind of looking for where are we feeling most of that sensation. We'll do a range and then come back for that information. Okay, so we're gonna start here. Yeah, super smushy. Really good. Really assert that ah behind M. It's my work. Really good. So yeah, so what I want you to feel into now that we've done it, we're gonna reflect back. That's how we learn more about our bodies. We do it and see what happens and then reflect back. Oh, this happened when that and I felt it here. Yeah. So reflect back and tell me what felt most comfortable. Where did you get most of the vibration feelings in the body?
Yeah, I felt the most vibration when I was not when I was starting out, because but when I was just like it was like beginning to stop. It was letting it all go and relaxing into the very tail end. That's when I felt the most um, connected to the sound. So I feel like I'm still trying to figure out the top, and as I go, it's like it go down. It's like if I can relax my back, if I can take it, if the sound can go back from my front of me to the back of me, and I can relax into that, then I really feel it. And this kind of realization is interesting because one of my main, like, oh my gosh, if I'm singing a song at church, I have the most trouble finding the first note. So that whole trauma of finding the first note is still like, oh my God, she wants me to do this. And where is that note? And so there's more anxiety at the top and then I can just relax into, once I'm going, I can just relax. So I think that's, that little mind game in me is happening or something.
Beautiful. Good to know. So that is perfect because I was going to move into one more exercise. And all of these are muscle building in one way or another. A lot of, uh, I'm hoping that those who sing a little bit, and have some ego with it, right? So have some things to say about it. Um, that you do this exercise. Don't skip it, because it is actually way more complicated than it sounds. And if you're not doing size already in your practice, then you may find that it takes some experience. Okay. So that's something that's really going to build up, is starting already to build that kind of bridge of what's happening up above that I can feel as comfortable with as I feel below, right? And then the next thing we're going to do is the poo sound, and this is going to give you the kind of reflecting movements that are happening just as much in the higher registers as they are in the lower, okay? But we just don't feel the vibrations as much, right? And so we think that we have to go find them, but that's not the case. They're in the same place, especially going through the passaggio. If you know anything about the passaggio, they're actually in the same place. It's all in the same place. The vocal cords are here. What I like to say is they're not going anywhere, folks. You're not gonna find them on a trip to, the Hawaii. They're not. They are gonna be there. So if you're looking anywhere but the vocal cords and below, you're looking in the wrong places. Okay. But at the same time, what we want to know is, what is that movement and where do I look for it? We look for it below the belly button, and if we want kind of any kind of voice reflection, the only place that's close to possible is what I call at ka, where the vocal cords are when they are relaxed. Okay, so my point was poo. We're doing poo. So we're going to start here. We're just going to go really quick. Oo behind P. So all consonants have a vowel. We are always speaking at the vocal cord with a vowel of some sort, whether we're hearing it or they are hearing it or not. Okay? So oo behind P. Poo. And just releasing the lower body into the earth. Yeah? When you're ready.
Ooh.
Good job. Even more with the release to the earth. Finish the breath outward into the earth. There's always a little extra. We want that puff to fully be open front and back. It's just a balanced correlation thing as we move into other notes and sounds. I forgot to put a note. One sec.
Boo. Boo.
So remembering that we release same time as we initiate. We don't release and then do it, right? Right? So that we all do it. Don't ask me why, but they're simultaneous. Ooh behind peep, poo, one movement.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Give yourself a couple at bats. So don't worry about me so much. Go ahead and give yourself like a 2-3 bat at bats. Poo, poo, poo. I'm sorry, wrong note. Poo, poo, poo.
Boo. Boo. Boo.
Poo, poo, poo.
Boo. Boo. Boo.
Doing so well, remembering the buttons and all the things. It's not easy. And honor the sound. I call it honoring the voice. Okay, when we're still making sound, be with the sound and be with it at rest, which is when it gets back to the earth. It's the breath, right? So, poo, poo, poo. Get space for it. Okay. So good. So good. You see how it clears up the sound? Yeah. And that's usually when we aren't loving our vibrato or, uh, the quality of our sound. And we think we want more of something. We actually want more of this. Okay. This is the breath's reflection, which is the head voice. I also think of it as the sacred feminine. Okay, it's more ephemeral. It's the higher, frequencies that go further with much less effort. Okay, we think because it's a light sound that it's not as powerful, but this is actually the frequency range in which gets to the back of the room without effort, right? um the other one is always going to take, the chest voice is always going to take a lot of physical movement, and it'll have like an immediacy of sound, and it does give louder, but it doesn't go as far, right? So and I think of it as a masculine reflective, right? It's very immediate, very strong, right? And so recognizing both, and also not always pretty. And I think that I don't know if that's supposed to be a correlation, but like it's just not, it's not around to be pretty. It's around to get things done, right? So so the feminine reflection up here with the poo is just naturally beautiful. It's not trying to be beautiful. It just is, right? Like and so that ease, that ease, that's what we're looking for. But notice how much it still requires the physical movement to fully be reflected. Right, so we haven't done anything different in the first things that we learned. We didn't do much different at the vocal cord, and we didn't do much different than being with the belly movement. But it's a completely different sound, and that's all just intention, body matching intention. Right, we don't have to do more than that. Right? So whenever we're elongating, we just need that availability more. So like if when you're singing at church and stuff and you want this same kind of more gentle, more easeful sound, then then what we actually need is more spaciousness in the body and that same large movement of the body and a larger release into the earth. We don't, and then we always think quiet means we are going this way, but actually we need more spaciousness in the breath, or disseminating those sounds. Okay, Renee, we're like getting those farther and farther out, right? So that's again why I think of it as a feminine or field type of situation. So we're going to do some more. So we're going to do more poos, but this time we're going to slide. So we're doing the extended version. I said the other one was the last exercise. This is the last exercise. I want you to have the experience so you can practice. This is a really good way to practice that you're going to sing at church. Okay? All right. So we're going to go. Feeling that big movement in the belly. Not the vocal cord. So it gets more efficient when we're thinking what's real. It gets more aligned, it gets more immediate, right? So it just overshot a little bit, but that's fine because the body's adjusting to you allowing it, right? So we're just gonna do it again. So good. So let that pee help you. Don't try to go up there on your own. Let the pee help you. And this is what's been scary about doing this at church. Because if you go without the body, anything can happen. Like it's just like, woo, let's go. I call it jumping off the cliff. And yes, let's like let life happen. And at the same time, let's if we're like gonna have an experience, let's be present to the experience. So how do we get present? Through the earth. Okay? So good. We're gonna keep going. We got more. Yes, we got the energy now. We got that engine pumping. Gonna give it another shot at it. We're seeing how the capable the body's been, and you know how much you've been getting in the way. Let's have some fun. So now we got all the energy movement. We're not, we're so good at it. Us empaths and meditative practitioners, we're good at letting the energy up and out. Yeah. And what I want us to do is let the energy down and out. Yeah. So one movement down, the rest happens naturally, right? And so when we get up there, uh, we're already at the earth. We're not going to the earth. It's not like a trip. Like I said, it's actually the vocal cords aren't actually going anywhere. They actually start where they end. They just relax. Okay. Yeah, we're still getting a little surprised with the energetic boost, right? But again, what the body does is that once you acknowledge that we don't know how what it's doing, it's just like this is what we're doing. It's a really big movement once we allow the body to move, and so it's a little surprising. You're like, whoa, what's going on that roller coaster today, right? But like the more we get used to it, the more we'll settle into it, and then just kind of reassert. Like it'd actually be easier if you were standing because you could reassert through your feet, but you can actually, in the same way, reassert through your sit bones. So as we're thinking, I often say that too. So like breathing out through the perineum, through the sit bones, through the perineum into the earth, right? Yeah, one movement. Yes, and this is not as high as you can go, but it is kind of the higher part of what you've been experiencing probably recently. I'm assuming based on my previous experience. Yeah, and um, and so we still have some muscles to build to support sustained movement here, but it's completely available. Once those muscles are built, the rest of your range will come in. Okay. The trick of high notes is that you don't forsake the low ones. The trick of high notes is that you don't forsake the low notes. So in your lower register, recognize the spaciousness that's available in poo, and vice versa. In your higher register, recognize the spaciousness that is inherent in chest voice. And poo is head voice, chest voice is our ha 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 and or ah sound. Okay, we didn't do a lot of today, but because you're a lighter voice, your voice actually has kind of a natural anchor, but it's higher than most, right? And there's a little separation happening in the passaggio. So, like, working forward from here, what we want is to actually bring those a little tighter in before we separate them, which is why the sighing is going to be such an important exercise for you, sighing downward, yeah, and the note spectrum. So, does that make sense, Renee? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Monifa, for this session. This was just like, oh, let's turn all of my ideas about singing on their head. And it's like, yeah, okay, got it. Because people will tell me, I will tell people, if you want to really ascend spiritually, then it's really, really important to ground. And it's the same concept that I've been telling people, except it's with singing. So it's interesting how things play out.
Now you get it,
Now
right?
you get it,
Now,
right?
when I say like singing is life, right? Because it's the same thing. We actually have to let go in order to experience more, right? And so, yeah, if we're always in our head, if we're always in our, intuitive, inspiring selves, then we may have some trouble manifesting, grounding ideas, right? And it's the same thing in the voice. If we're always thinking up to create more, which is all, that's all our body recognizes, that it's more. There's more energy involved, there's more breath involved, right? And so if we're always thinking up to understand that, then we're not getting the support. We're not getting the support in the body and the earth that's available in our energy patterns. Okay, and so we want to practice knowing that they're there by having the experience in the body through the vocal exercises. Okay, so yay! I think that went pretty well considering that we had to. So thank you so much for joining me today, Renee. And
And you guys,
I'm just gonna have you go check out Renee. She is amazing. She's on Facebook and YouTube. And I think if you subscribe to her channel and if you go to a few of her gigs, her events, that if she allows, that you will have a wonderful experience. She has a beautiful way of mirroring wisdom, experience, and creation, and beautiful soul here in front of you. So go find some love. Renee provides those spaces. And Renee, we'll talk after the stream. And then, but for you guys, I will see you on the next voice lesson with Monifa. I'll talk to her for now.